On screen the whole time.
Hi, yep. Hey everyone. So this is what we call some jank ass bullshit.
This is what happens when Google doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's weird. It's uncomfortable. We'll just be, it's going to be weird when we're like holding up images to the screen because we're going to have much narrower windows and such.
Yeah.
But we'll have to just deal. I guess.
I just pulled it up. This looks amazing.
Yeah, I know. It's so trash. It's so trash, which means it's perfectly welcome on YouTube. Anyway. Hi everyone, sorry for being late. I imagine we may have lost some people that were interested. I'm just going to do one thing before we go get started. I need to share the new link in a couple different places since we had to change our streaming situation here. Sorry about that, really am.
Google just hates me. It hates me using Google Hangouts. I don't know why.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be more cool with it.
Hi, I'm Simeon. This is Ian. It's his channel. We should have introduced ourselves first.
It's so weird. We have to talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. That'll just have to work. Okay. It's been updated on the Twitterverse and stuff. We got people. It says we got 2 watchers. That's enough. Yeah. This doesn't usually get a ton of views live. We get them more after the fact, so let's not waste anyone else's time. Yeah, so here we are for the monthly comic roundup for March 2019. I, of course, took a bit of a hiatus. I'm back. So let's just not dwell on the past, and let's get right on into stuff. So, you said it was my week, sir?
Yes, you are going first. Tell us your favorite comic of the first week of March 2019.
All right. It's Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys Marvel History, #1.
I called it.
I saw your Goodreads review of this, and you're a crazy man who doesn't understand the finer point of ridiculous comic books.
Look, it wasn't for me. I wasn't trying to say it was bad. It's just it was not my kind of thing, and I thought it had some issues. But hey, to each their own.
Yeah. I got such a kick out of this book. It was cracking me up all the way through. Just like this is like the Deadpool stuff before Deadpool got incredibly annoying, and I'm waiting for my Cosmic Ghost Rider meets Deadpool and Spider-Man crossover. That's my dream event. At that point, we can just be done with Marvel entirely. The MCU can be over unless they choose to adapt that into a movie. This is some of the most ridiculous stuff I've ever seen in a comic book since the last Cosmic Ghost Rider series, and I'm just excited for more of it, to be perfectly honest. It's stupid funny. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on here, and some of these lines just crack me up. Like when he represented Reed Richards in Intergalactic Court, and he says, "Your honors, I'm just a simple cosmic spirit of vengeance, and I may not understand big intergalactic ways, but my client is a moron. He's no more a murderer than a cat." Oh... It's
Frank Castle, supreme bullshitter.
I know. He's doing the whole Southern lawyer thing. It's like, I'm just a simple cosmic spirit of vengeance. I was laughing so hard at that. And just shit like that's all over this book, and it cracked me up so much. I had such a good time with it.
I think I would have liked it better had it been more structured around that stuff and not had the framing device of him talking to the kid. That just felt a little forced to me.
See, and I think that was kind of the thing that made it work, and especially... Did you end up reading the Cosmic Ghost Rider mini?
I still haven't gotten to it. However, I've seen a crap ton of spoilers for it, so I basically know what happens in it.
Well, yeah, that's totally fair. But, the Cosmic Ghost Rider mini just kind of, was an excuse to have Frank Castle, Cosmic Ghost Rider, do a bunch of crazy shit. And so I think the framing device here is just an excuse to, keep going with that, because we've gotten all this Marvel history before Frank Castle became the Punisher, and now he's going to be fucking up Marvel history after Frank Castle became the Punisher, and that's the section I'm really interested in. And so, like, the framing device of him talking to the kid, and the way this ends with Uatu, the Watcher, coming in and being like, "You're fucking shit up! Quit fucking shit up!"
Yeah, he's like, what's his name? Adam, in that episode where they changed the history of the Buffy universe to make it center around a background character. He's just sitting there with a bunch of monitors going, "These are lies."
Yeah, just shit like that. It's really funny, especially like with Uatu and Frank Castle kind of having this headbutting history from the Cosmic Ghost Rider mini, where he's like, he shows up as Cosmic Ghost Rider is deciding to raise baby Thanos. He's like, "I'm here to witness the worst decision anyone has ever made."
Happy 22 in the chat. Spiders-Man deserves a movie. Spiders-Man for Spider-Verse 2.
Yes, so on that. Like, can I share my Spiders-Man fan fiction with you a little bit?
Go for it.
All right. So, like, I was flipping through the pages of Spider-Geddon when I was at my comic shop, and I noticed that Spiders-Man, they draw him and, like, patches of the costume are missing, so you can see the spiders, crawling around inside.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, yeah, he should, like, get battle damage in a comic, like, where the costume gets ripped and you see the spiders, and then the costume heals itself as the spiders spin silk to make the hole go away.
Oh, that would be awesome!
Right?
Why aren't you writing for Marvel?
I know! I've got the voice of Spider-Man, the Spider-Man for a new generation. Peter Parker, the 60s. Eddie Brock, the 90s. Miles Morales, the 2000s. Spider-Man, the 2020s.
Yes. And I guess we can say Spider-Gwen was the 2010s Spider-Person.
There we go. Yeah. Never mind, I skipped like the 70s, 80s, and such, but yeah.
Who cares about those decades?
Yeah, no one. So yeah, it's crazy fun. I mean, the cover kind of says it all when you get right down to it. Marvel does this with a bunch of characters. Wolverine kills the Marvel Universe, Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, Punisher kills the Marvel Universe, and I guess we're just doing it again. And I'm okay with it.
Another one that's good, because I have heard tons of times from people that the only good one is the Deadpool one, and that's why it turned into a series.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know, I haven't read them, but that sounds believable. Like, from what I heard about Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe, it was, like, really fucking boring, but would occasionally have some clever ideas, because, like, he's fucking Punisher. He's a dude with a gun. How does he manage, like, all these things? And the one that was actually kind of good was he couldn't kill Wolverine, so he just threw him on an electric fence and made sure it never stopped having a current. So there's that. Anyway,
Terrible. That's some Kamen Rider Wizard level shit right there.
Right. Anyway, so, yep, that's all I got for this one. It was fun. I super enjoyed it. Smile 10 miles wide on my face while I read it.
All right. Well, it has been an absolutely monumentous month on my side of things. I had a World Comic-Con happen. It's WrestleMania season. The Captain Marvel movie dropped, and tons of amazing new comics have been getting dropped in my lap. So my pick for the first week is also a #1. It is Ronin Island #1. Have you heard of this, Ian?
No, not at all.
This is a book from Boom Studios by Greg Pak and Gilanius Milagani. I do not know how to pronounce that man's name, the artist.
Oh, yeah.
But he's
Milo,
a damn good artist.
Something like that.
It's a really nice kind of chicken scratchy style going on in this book. And I just really dug the flavor of story this was, because it's something I've never seen in a comic before. It reminds me of stuff like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Zhao and Showdown, those pseudo-Eastern, pseudo-historical kid shows from the mid-2000s, that kind of stuff. It's basically a story about two samurai in training who are both like mid to late teens on this island. One's kind of the favorite. He's a guy who has grown up in a samurai family, and his family has protected this island for generations. and one is this kind of poor Korean girl who's a refugee living there, but she's being trained by one of the island's most respected masters. And this picks up on the day they're both going to compete to figure out who's going to be the island's designated protector from now on. And it's really cute the way they go through all their challenges and seeing different kinds of people cheer them on. Like, a lot of the traditionalists are cheering the guy on. There's some poor farmers in a field who are telling the girl to stick it to him. And it ends with a big old warship from mainland Japan coming in and basically trying to take control of the island. And they're like, we've been an independent, multicultural island forever. We're not going to let you take over. Why the hell is the Emperor just now taking interest in us anyway? And he goes, well, it's because there's an army of demons that's trying to take over Japan. And they basically go, okay, let's go kick some ass. And that's the setup for this series. I've been interested in this since I first saw the solicitations, and it did not disappoint. Really fun book. I'd highly recommend checking it out if anything I said appeals to somebody out there.
Oh, cool. So
what's your pick for week 2, sir?
That would be Justice League Dark, number 9. And as you can see, we got Etrigan getting blasted by Dr. Fate on the cover. And
I now see that.
Yeah. So, points for a cover that's actually related to what happens in the issue.
Yeah, that's something DC has been struggling with lately.
Oh, yeah? I guess I hadn't really noticed.
Well, remember last week when we talked about Shazam, or last month, rather, when we talked about Shazam, and you were like, oh, they're using that villain? And I'm like, no, this has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that's right. So, for those that haven't been keeping up with Justice League Dark, I think it's a really good series, though it does have that problem of if you haven't been reading from issue 1, everything's so interconnected, you probably can't just jump on it right now. I wouldn't recommend that. But that being said, so magic in the DC universe is kind of super fucked. And
as it tends to be.
Yeah, there's like a whole thing with this like idea of magic has a cost, and that cost is always, kind of supplanted, or it's the magician always protecting themselves from the cost, so through like a median, which is why Zatanna speaks backwards, why John Constantine has demon blood, all this weird stuff. And Dr. Fate has decided, you know what? I'm the Lord of Order. I'm tired of this bullshit. Magic's too chaotic. I'm done with it. And so Dr. Fate's become a bad guy. He's let the cost of magic use into the world in order to destroy magic. That's called the Other Kind. And now we're finally getting into Dr. Fate being a bad guy again. But the thing is, it's very important. Dr. Fate is a Lord of Order. There's more of those.
Oh.
Yeah. And so you get like these other Lords of Order that come through, and they're all personified by a different piece of clothing.
Please tell me one of them has a cod piece.
No, but one of them's got boots, one of them has gauntlets, one of them's got like a chest plate. So they all work the same as Dr. Fate, from what we were led to believe, wherein, Dr. Fate, you put on the helmet and you become Fate. Taking bets now. Who wants to guess that someone's going to put on all of these pieces of armor?
Yeah, it's going to be like... I want them to do a sequence like frickin' Bible Man where he puts on his costume and it's going through like the, what is it, Christians call it, the armor of the spirit or something like that. Because I have the helmet of righteousness and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
But like in this issue, Etrigan kind of shows up to try to put Fate in his place, and he just gets absolutely bulldozed by the Lords of Order. they completely just wreck his shit and separate Etrigan and Jason Blood. Which is, like, that's a big fucking deal when that shit happens, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, it's just the Lords of Order have kind of just fucked shit, man. Shit's just not good. Wonder Woman and Zatanna are kind of off on their own, and they go to Cersei for help again, because that's not a good idea. Yeah, shit's just getting crazy. I love the scope of this series. It does feel legitimately epic, and I'm just really, really enjoying it for that reason. It's a good book.
Okay. So my pick for week 3 is going to be Saban's Go-Go Power Rangers number 18, a book that I think has pretty much always been somewhere in my picks because it's just good. And this issue got picked by me because it is some of the most choice world building I have seen in a while. Because hey, guess what? We opened over 10,000 years ago.
Huh.
Seeing Zordon in his original form before he became the giant head in the tube, talking about the war between good and evil and how he's having trouble repelling Dark Spectre's forces. And then we get a cameo by King Lexian, who, for those of you who do not know, is the father of Prince Dex, aka Masked Rider. So Masked Rider is now canon with these comics, which is kind of amazing. But then there's also some interesting present-day stuff where the Rangers are encountering for the first time a character called Alpha 1, who is one of Zordon's original creations, who was designed to help him fight evil. And there's some good interaction between him and Alpha 5, the Alpha we've always known and loved. And we see that maybe this guy might not have the best of intentions, despite the fact that he crossed the entire universe after having been destroyed to get back to Zordon. And there's some really, really just twisted stuff with Rita and her mother, who she summoned the ghost of at the end of the last comic, because she needs help figuring out how to unlock the Green Ranger powers. And her mom was originally on the side of good, and she looks a heck of a lot like Mystic Mother from Mystic Force, which was a name Rita took on later in life. So just a lot of really cool continuity and world building, some good character stuff. Overall, really solid issue that hits on just everything I like about this book. So, not much new to say, but it's still a fantastic book if you're a fan of Power Rangers and associated franchises like I am.
Cool. Neat stuff. Always good to see the Power Rangers franchise is alive and well. Alrighty. I'll go ahead and go on, and probably unpredictably, though I will say this was a pretty easy choice, but just kind of by default because nothing else this week really impressed me and it really left much of an impression at all. So I just got to go with my boy Tom King, Batman number 67, All the Way Down.
That was almost my honorable mention.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a really cool comic. I don't really have much to say about it. It's neat that we keep following up Batman meets Elmer Fudd with all this weird Batman Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting a kick out of that. And so we have Batman versus the Roadrunner, who turns out to be the Joker. And it's just a really crazy Batman chasing the Joker around chase scene, and yeah, it's almost entirely an art issue. Very little dialogue, absolutely no dialogue.
A lot of people saying it felt like a waste of money because there wasn't a lot of dialogue, and you could read that in like 5 minutes. And I was like, but there's still a lot going on those pages. If you take a good hard look at some of those panels, like,
I mean,
art can tell a story just as much as words can, guys.
Yeah. I don't understand that criticism because we've had issues that are like, I think everyone's read the comic book that's taken half an hour to get through because there's so much goddamn dialogue that it's just covering up the art. Like, you ever feel like the characters are like supporting the fucking word balloons in the panels? And this just, it's okay to do the opposite. It's okay to do the issue where there's not a lot of dialogue, where it's just,
One of my favorite comics when I was first getting into reading was an issue of Uncanny X-Men, where it's almost entirely dialogue-less, and it's about Magneto having to atone for a past sin, and it's entirely told through looks he's giving people, and like a few word balloons. And I always thought that issue was real. I forget what number it is because I haven't looked at it in forever, but I've never had a problem with that as long as the art is able to support the story on its own, and I think in this issue it certainly was.
Oh yeah, Lee Weeks just does an absolutely incredible job. Jorge Fornes is also credited as the artist, and Laverne Kinderzinski, I'm going to go out on a limb on that one, did the colors, and I think it just looks gorgeous. It's, got the... Lee Weeks is quickly becoming just like this very underrated Batman artist, in my opinion. Like, they all just... Every single issue he does with...
He's very close to the exact kind of style I like.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like Tim Sale, but without the exaggerated features,
Yeah.
It's just got that nice, sleek look to it. I really, really enjoy it. It's good. It's just good. That's all I got. And also, beep beep. Oh wait, shit! Hold on. I'll be 1 sec. Be right back.
Okay.
See if I can find it.
Alright, I guess this is as good a time as any to plug the VAC show, which will be premiering on May 23rd on youtube.com/thevacuuminator. Go and check out the next evolution of the Vacuuminator saga, everybody. It's going to be pretty good. Ian, are you back yet?
Yeah, I'm back. I couldn't find it. I had one of those clown horns at one point in time. I just don't know where it is.
Okay.
In the thing over there. I was really hoping, but I can't. So just beep.
Oh, well, at least I got a shameless plug-in.
Ah, there you go. All right, what do you got next for us, sir?
Alright, my pick for the penultimate week of this month is something that I think both of us were pretty excited about, but you said you were going to trade weight on this. Spider-Man Life Story #1. This is a comic I feel like I have been wanting for ever. This is exactly the kind of Spider-Man I like, and I got into reading comics right at the time Dan Slott's run was starting, and I liked Dan Slott's run at the start, but it very quickly outgrew its welcome. Mm-hmm. And Nick Spencer's Spider-Man, I know everybody and their mom is talking about how much they love it. I just didn't care for that first issue. This, though, this really reminds me of the kind of Spider-Man I used to watch and read when I was a kid. Especially the 90s cartoon. The way this handles sort of Peter's relationships and his interactions with villains was very similar to that, even though it's trying to evoke those early Lee Ditko days. And it's very much just a sort of condensing and recontextualization of that stuff where it's actually allowed to comment on the issues of the day. Like, a big scene in this issue is seeing Flash Thompson off as he's going to Vietnam, and Peter has this moment where he almost gets in an argument with him because he still has sort of issues with Flash, because Flash was his high school bully, and he's like, you're going off to war, you're not the kind of guy who should be representing our country. But Gwen talks him down and is like, you may never see him again. You need to end this relationship on a good note, just in case it does end. And then, right as he's going back to do that, Harry Osborn comes up and goes, hey, motherfucker, I'm the Green Goblin, and I know you're Spider-Man. There's bombs all around this bar. go out in the back and fight me, or I'll kill us all. So that was a pretty good fight. Not much exactly to say about it, but right after that, we get a scene where Peter is kind of, he's worried. Should I be doing more? There's a war overseas right now. We see earlier in the issue that Iron Man has joined the army and helping them, and he runs across Captain America just beating up a mugger in the street. And he kind of stops Cap and has this really, really good conversation with him, where Cap basically goes, look, I don't know what to make of this war. It's way different than any of the ones I fought, but all I know is that you don't need to go. You're doing a good job. People need you here. I kind of have to go because the government is going to keep telling me about it anyway, and I'm not even going to get a good understanding of it unless I'm actually there. So you keep on doing you. I'll see you when I get back. And that's a really like condensed version of what the speech is. It's one of the best Captain America speeches I've ever read. I would recommend the issue just for that. But it's pretty solid. And then at the end, the final reveal before we sort of get an epilogue is Gwen finds out Peter's Spider-Man. So we're already going into that, and this just really captured me and made me remember why I love Peter Parker Spider-Man. This is like primo early Peter Parker Spider-Man. It's recapturing that magic without feeling like it's trying to. It's just like, no, it's right here. And I really appreciated that. And I'm even more interested in this series because we didn't see it in the announcement when we talked about it on this show. But apparently Peter's going to age in real time with this book. So next issue is going to be 10 years later. Mm-hmm. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's the kind of the premise I really liked about it. I saw the cover for the 80s, and it's like got the black suit and like the bombs dropping in the background. I'm like, ooh. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like the Dark Knight Returns of Spider-Man. So that's something I'm really interested in, but I am holding off until the trade because I just feel like that's something that's going to read better collected. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, next up is me, and I'm a basic bitch. I did Detective Comics number 1000.
I called it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's funny because I saw some people talking about Action 1000, and they're like,
"Oh, I remember the basic cover." Okay.
It's actually the side cover. It's the main cover, but tilted sideways. So instead of a wraparound, it's all the thing on one side. I just thought that was cool.
Jock cover, just because, like, I don't know what has happened to Jim Lee, but that art looked terrible to me.
Really? I quite liked it. I really liked Damien with the phone. I thought that was fun.
Something about the Joker's eyes just made me feel like he was using way too much color.
Maybe. I could see that, I guess. I don't know. Like, for me, anyway, what I was saying is about the, like, everyone was really hyped about Action 1000 and felt like Detective 1000 was so much less hyped up.
It felt more obligatory.
Yeah. And I guess the thinking behind it for me is, yeah, it was cool for Action because it was the first comic to legitimately reach 1,000, you know? Whereas Detective, yeah, now that's just going to be a thing that happens now. We're just slowly going to be getting there. Like, Batman was at 800 before DC
Mick Pitt
did
says
the
he
New
doesn't
52.
think Detective 1000 was as good as Action 1000. And you know what? I'd agree. There was a good handful of stories in Action 1000 that I liked. There's 2 in Detective that I was like, oh, these are standouts.
Really? I quite liked everything I read in here. Nothing really felt that off to me. Even the Snyder story wasn't that bad.
I mean, nothing was bad. It's just there were only 2 that I was like, oh, this is really good. This is like a nice story talking about what Batman means to people.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Kevin Smith story. I thought it was cool that he got an issue in, the Detective 1000. He grew up with it. I thought that was really cool. I really, really enjoyed the Paul Dini story with the Brody Newt, or Newt Brody, whatever his name is.
Yeah, that felt straight out of the animated series.
Yeah, that was a fun one, and I quite enjoyed it. What else was in this? The Batman's design by Warren Ellis. That one was a little iffy or whatever, but I don't know. I guess I just like these kind of really short Batman stories quite a bit, because I just don't feel we get enough of them where they just stand out on their own.
My two favorites were The Precedent and Batman's Greatest Case, which were right after each other.
Yeah, those two were good. I really liked Tom King's one. I thought that was really, really poignant and just a very, very, very good diagnosis of the character, with the idea that he's lost everything.
Batman's Greatest Case.
Oh, was it? Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought, what was the one that Snyder did then? With the detective. I thought that was Batman's Greatest Case.
I might be getting them mixed up. I don't know.
Yeah. No, Batman's Longest Case.
Ah, there we go.
That's just a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
The Dick Grayson story I thought was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
The Precedent. Yeah.
That almost had me tear up.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I really enjoyed all of these. I mean, this panel of the entire Bat family together, I thought was great. You know, there's your fucking poster for the next 10 years.
Yep.
I love that shit. It was so sweet, and just that Jason Todd is sitting there getting mocked by everybody was pretty good. I see a lot of people seem to have a problem with this panel of Batgirl and Batwoman, and I don't get it because it's very clearly being just played for humor. And that Batwoman's not exactly part of the family as much. She doesn't have much interaction.
I was surprised people didn't get more pissed off about the spoiler panel where she's just asking Tim if they can just make out. I was like, that's a little weird. I don't think of these characters as just two horny teenagers, but whatever.
I actually saw people getting mad about that one, believe it or not.
Okay.
I've seen most people getting mad about the Batwoman and Batgirl moment, but I'm like, I don't know, I thought that was pretty funny. And then we get the medieval, this Arkham Knight lead-in for Detective 1001. I liked it. I'm not going to say that anything in here was great, jaw-dropping or anything. I just really liked all of them. I thought they were all a lot of fun. It was a really good bunch of new stories, and we even had Denny O'Neil back for a bit here. It was cool.
Yeah, it was solid. I didn't love it, but it's one of those things where I can't say it's exceptional, but I didn't regret purchasing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's $10. There's no ads in between the stories or anything. I felt it was well worth it.
The thing that annoyed me about it was the fact that I had to fit it in a bag and board later in the day.
My shop gave it to me in a bag and board that you can clearly tell is designed for a bigger book. So that was nice.
Your shop are a bunch of angels.
Yep. Oh, all right. What do you got for us for the last week of March, sir?
All right, my pick for the final week is another number one. Believe it or not, it is Sabrina the Teenage Witch #1. This is by Kelly Thompson and Veronica Fish. This is not something I talk about a whole lot, but I was really into the Melissa Joan Hart Sabrina the Teenage Witch show as a kid. I watched reruns of that constantly. And I've always wanted to get into the comics, but it's just never really done anything to appeal to me because up until recent, Archie was the same formula forever. And then, what was it? Something like Spooky Tales of Sabrina, Chilling Tales of Sabrina happened. And I'm not super into horror books, so I skipped that. But this is more along the lines of the Sabrina I know, and it's kind of mixing in more of the comic booky stuff where you can clearly tell the ants are much more different than they are in the show. There's a whole lot of banter between her and Salem, whereas Salem only showed up like once or twice in the show per episode because of how hard it was to run that animatronic. And there's just a lot of really cute and fun setup for Sabrina going to high school in this book, because this is her first day of high school. She meets a lot of the supporting cast members, like Harvey and whatnot. And the art is just absolutely adorable and gorgeous. Like, the way Veronica Fish draws Sabrina is just one of the most adorable character designs I have seen in a while.
She looks just like the actress from the new show. That's so weird.
Yeah. But there's also a really neat device in this, which is obviously going to come back to haunt her in future issues, where there's a spell counter throughout this, because she promised herself she wasn't going to use a whole lot of magic at the beginning of this issue, and then she keeps finding excuses to do it, like, oh, I have snow white hair, and that's kind of unusual. I'm going to change it to blonde. Oh, this class is really boring, and it's obviously revisionist history. I'm going to change it to be the real facts. Just a minute.
Oh.
Yeah, this was really cute and fun, and I would highly recommend it if you're at all interested in the character. Definitely the kind of Sabrina book I'm all about. Now, Ian, why don't you tell everybody what your final pick is while I go take care of something in the other room?
Final pick? I thought Detective was the final pick.
Oh shit, that's right. Honorable mention.
Why don't we just take a break, because I'm thirsty. I'm a thirsty bitch.
Back, and Ian doesn't appear to be yet. So, this is as good a time as any to get in another shameless plug, because hey, I'm garbage. And if you
professional YouTubing, yeah.
Hey, there he is.
Yeah, I'm a thirsty bitch. I'm a basic bitch. What can I say?
Just barely saved the show.
Oh yeah, what were you gonna do?
I was about to plug my podcast. Because I'm garbage.
That's fine. You a garbage bitch. Oh, man. Okay, yep. So, honorable mention. Wonder Woman number 66. Just because I like Giganta. Giganta is kind of an underrated Wonder Woman villain to me. Even though in this issue, she's not a villain. Basically what's going on is Olympus has fallen. Not the shitty movie, but like literally Olympus has fallen. And all the Greek myth creatures are out in the world now.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So some of Diana's friends...
G. Willow Wilson pulled an Asgard. Where in the mid-2000s Asgard fell to Earth, right? That was
kind of, sort of, but not exactly, because instead of being in like one place, they're all scattered throughout the world now. And so the Titans are in Yellowstone National Park, and that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Diana's like, alright, I need some help because this is literally just too big for one person to deal with. And so she goes to Amanda Waller and's like, hey, I need a favor. And
Can I borrow the Suicide Squad?
pretty much, kinda, sorta. She gets Giganta released, and we get this really cool moment where there's like a Titan cornering some other mythical creatures, and then Giganta just comes in and fucking tackles the guy. And like, Giganta's huge, she only comes up to a Titan's knees. Which just like gives you a cool sense of scale, and then Wonder Woman has to really convince her that she needs to work, that they need to work together like long term. And Giganta's kind of a bitch. She's like, what do I get in return? My time is valuable. And Wonder Woman's like, the satisfaction of having done something good? You're so funny. You think because you're this princess, the rest of us must have access to the same unlimited resources and prestige you do. But guess what? We don't. I have a job, a mortgage, and this little side quest takes me away from both of those things. I'm not made of money. Fine, if it's money you want, a payment can be arranged. Don't say that with your lip curled like it's something dirty. A girl's gotta eat. Do you have any idea what my caloric requirements are when I'm at max height? I just really like that. Giganta's just a bit stiff, and Wonder Woman's like, all right, fine, and they just kind of got to come to an understanding. It's just, I don't know, it's a cool premise.
That sounds really cool. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Giganta. I know her from the Justice League cartoon, but literally until just now, I had no idea she was a Wonder Woman villain. I just thought she was a general DC villain.
Oh, interesting. No, Wonder Woman and Giganta go way back. It's a woman that balloons and becomes gigantic. That's a fetish, therefore it's a Wonder Woman villain. That's all you have to think about.
Yeah, when you put it that way.
Any fetish is a Wonder Woman villain. It's a dirty little secret.
Focused villain. Where's the scat focused villain? I want to meet these people.
I mean, if I find you a shit demon that Wonder Woman fights, would that count?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Giganta's cool. Y'all know me. I'm into my Legos. I've got some fingers out in different pots. I'm trying to make a Lego Giganta that's like actually at a giant scale, but still like a minifig.
You should look up the instructions for the airport battle Ant-Man that they did, because that's basically a giant minifig built out of bricks.
Yeah, exactly. Oddly enough, they released one set for the Wonder Woman movie, and it's Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor in a plane, and a big fig of Ares like that. And so I'm using the instructions. Yeah, you know, the scene in the movie where Ares becomes a giant monster. Everyone remembers that. If you're gonna make a giant minifig for a Lego set with Wonder Woman, why wouldn't you make it Giganta? Like, this shit, Lego!
In the movie, and nobody cares if it's not a movie.
You're right. What the shit, Lego? First you fuck over my boy Green Lantern, who should be your premier superhero, and now this. I'm beginning to think they're not really comic book fans, Vac. Anyway. Yeah, Giganta cool. Giganta fun. I like Giganta. Alright, what do you got for honorable mentions, sir?
My honorable mention is going to be something that I don't think would be on a lot of people who watch this show's radar, but I decided to pick up just out of pure curiosity and was a wonderful surprise. Synergy, a Hasbro Creators Showcase. Have you heard about this at all, Ian?
No, is this just like the Hasbro Cinematic Universe or something?
No, this is basically because Hasbro has been one of the few companies that I feel like has been making a genuine, we want to do this, we think this is a good idea, not we're obligated to do this because of the culture push towards having more female creators work on their stuff. So this is a collection of short stories by all the female writers currently working on Hasbro Comics at IDW. And it highlights a lot of their mainstay female characters. So the first story is about RC, the original female Transformer, sort of adjusting to post-war life and trying to figure out what it means to not be a soldier and just be a civilian these days because she was kind of a psychotic assassin for a long time in the war. And there's a moment where a bit of that comes back, where a guy sort of bumps her on the road and tries to cut in front of her, and she transforms and almost cuts his head off with a sword, and then has to pull herself back.
Damn.
And it eventually ends up with her buying what I guess is a Maximal. It's a robot cat to keep her company in her apartment and sort of be her emotional support animal. So that was kind of cute. And then there's a bunch of cover galleries of old IDW covers that were drawn by female artists in between each short story, and some really cool stuff if you haven't checked out IDW's library. Just like great to see some of those covers come back. Then we have a short story about the female Snake Eyes. I did not know that in G.I. Joe right now there is a female character that has taken on the mantle of Snake Eyes. But it's basically her talking about how the original Snake Eyes' spirit is still kind of with her, and she has him in her head, and she can kind of understand what his life was, and she wants to do his legacy right. Not a whole lot of substance to it. It's just her having a thought process while sitting in an abandoned amusement park, and sort of some flashes to old stuff that happened with Snake Eyes. But it's interesting to get to find out that that was a thing. Then there's a Gem and the Hologram short story that I didn't read because I don't know shit about Gem and the Holograms.
You didn't even read it in the book that you paid money for?
Yeah, and this is an $8 giant, so
you just wasted money. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
read it now. Do the voices and everything live for us. Dance, monkey dance.
Oh jeez. But then we get to biographical tales about writers who have worked on the comic. Autobiographical, I should say, because they're written by them. The first one is by the writer of the My Little Pony comics, talking about her favorite My Little Pony toy from when she was a kid, which was basically a dance stage where you could manipulate the ponies to make it look like they were dancing, and how she eventually grew up and got into writing comics, and how her daughters are now big My Little Pony fans, and she watches the show with them, and they basically do not give a crap about the fact that she writes the comics, which was funny.
I've heard that a lot from like comic writers and stuff, that they just or just like anyone that's in like the public light. Like I heard a story of like some YouTubers who have family members, and their family members watch YouTube but not their YouTube videos, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing a collab video with this guy, and they're like, oh, that YouTuber.
Yeah. It reminds me of when a friend of mine, an old friend, I haven't talked to him in ages actually, but a guy who ran a podcast network and did a lot of voice actor interviews, talked about, like, he was telling his friends at work one day, oh, I've got to get off early tonight because I'm doing an interview with Tom Kenny tonight. And they're like, who? SpongeBob. Holy shit!
That's too cool.
Yeah. And then the next story is by Marguerite Scott, the only IDW writer I actually know, and she talks a lot about how when she was a kid, Beast Wars was on, and her favorite Transformer was Airazor, and kind of schools me a bit on Beast Wars because Beast Wars is like a giant blank spot for me as far as Transformers knowledge goes. I didn't even know Airazor was a female Transformer. But it's cool to see her talk about playing Transformers with her sister when she was a kid, and the fact that she didn't like any female superheroes as a kid because they all constantly said, I'm just as good as the boys. And to her, actually, I'll just read out what she wrote here, which was stupid because if people really thought that, they wouldn't need to say it. After all, the boys never had to remind people they were good at things. It was what made them heroic to begin with, which I thought was really cool. Nice little statement there. And there's also an interesting moment where she talks about how she never got an Airazor toy as a kid because she couldn't work up the courage to go into the boys' toy aisle, which kind of like made something click with me because I remember a couple years ago was a big push to get toy aisles degendered, which I was all for because I've always been of the opinion no toys are for everybody. I had two sisters growing up. I played with Barbies and Bratz. I don't see any problem with a boy playing with girls' toys or a girl playing with boys' toys. There's no reason for them to be gendered. And I spent a lot of time in girls' toy aisles, so it was never weird for me. But to see somebody actually say that it was considered completely taboo, like you were too scared to even go over there to buy one thing ever in your life, I never thought of that. I never thought that was a possibility because, like I said, I grew up with two sisters, so I spent a fair amount of time in the girls' toy aisle. So it's really cool getting to see that, and then she talks about getting into comics, of course, and her husband telling her about Windblade becoming the fan-built bot, and she goes, "Oh, I might apply to write that because I'm signed with IDW right now." And then cut to a couple of years later with her at her first BotCon with a Windblade banner, and there's a really cool moment where a little girl comes up to her with a Windblade figure and goes, "Is that a Windblade banner?" "Yeah, it is. She's my favorite Transformer." And she doesn't realize that Margaret Scott writes the book, and she's just like, "You know what? She's mine too." And that is a really cool moment. It is a really touching little story to get to see all that from a writer that I know and like, and just really solid stuff that's just showing what these creators have got to offer and being like, hey, you should check out the Hasbro books. Maybe that's a thing you should do.
Neat. Neat. Alright, are we on to best cover or worst of the month?
Worst of the month.
Alright, this one was almost Batman Beyond whatever issue was most recent because I'm just getting kind of annoyed with that book at the moment. But then I remembered that this piece of trash came out this week. Star Wars Vader Dark Visions #1.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I also saw a lot of people yelling about it.
Yeah, it's not awful, I guess. It's just really stupid and kind of irresponsible.
Okay.
It's not like Darth Vader comes up, it's like, you know what's fun to do, kids? Play with your parents' guns. It's just... It's like a thing that kind of fetishizes and makes Darth Vader seem really cool, and not in a way that's, like, relevant to anything that's going on. Like, I remember I saw a lot of people...
Written by an original trilogy fan.
Probably, I don't know. Like, I remember seeing a lot of people complain about that scene at the end of Rogue One where, like, Vader boards the Rebel ship and he just cuts everybody down, and it's like, it's a legitimately intimidating-ass scene for Vader. And I saw a lot of people saying that it's, like, glorifying him, and it's, like, really at odds with the rest of the movie because... You know, it's making us root for almost the bad guys when we're supposed to.
Scene, but it kind of screws up the way you understand his character in later movies.
Maybe I tend to disagree. I don't want to get too much into it, but just like I feel that kind of shows the triumph of like how desperate it is, how like close a call this is. I feel like it's just everything that happened planetside in Rogue One. Like Again, I don't want to get too into it. I feel that at the very least you can make an argument that it does work in favor of what the movie's doing, and it's not just there to make Darth Vader seem cool. This is entirely here to make Darth Vader seem cool. He crash lands on a planet that's got, I guess, like a Godzilla monster living on it that's just completely wiped out the civilization on the planet to the point where they're all living in like caves and shit. Beast? I don't think so. I'll see if I can get a look at it. Anyway, so like this creature's there, and Darth Vader just kills it, and it's this little boy who sees everything happen. I'll hold this panel up for a little bit so you can get a good look at it. Vac's got a bit of delay in the stream, but yeah. So like, it's just Vader kills this giant monster.
Definitely not a Zillow beast.
Okay, Vader kills this giant monster, and that's the whole story. And it looks so cool that he's doing it, and like he rides a horse monster thingy at one point, and he's a Dark Knight, and da 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 da. And at the end of the day, the kid that watches all this happen goes, "Oh, thanks." And Vader says, "You should not thank me, child." But then the Empire shows up and takes Vader away, and the kid tells the story of everything that happened, and I'm like, you know, if you're gonna do the story where like the kid's really grateful that Vader's come and saved them from the monster, you should really follow that to its logical conclusion, which is with Vader comes the Empire, and life, in fact, gets worse than when they were living in fear of being killed by a giant monster. Like, that's what that should be. Instead, it just kind of glorifies Vader as, like, a badass. And I'm like, no. It's shit like this that makes me feel Vader gets overexposed.
So it's like it fumbled in the end zone.
I mean, if you were going to do the story right, then he should have defeated the monster by, like, page 5, and then the rest of the book was everything that happened after that. But then you wouldn't get this, like, boner for Darth Vader's shit, so... Yeah. I don't know. Just... made me uncomfortable a little bit. It's too much fetishization of Vader.
That's fair.
Yeah.
My pick for worst of the month is something that might get some people mad at me as well. The Magnificent Miss Marvel #1, written by everybody's favorite writer, Saladin Ahmad.
Yeah.
This isn't bad. I didn't hate it, but it is so bland.
Mm-hmm.
It just took all the life and flavor and personality of this book and sucked it right out. This went from being like one of the most fun and interesting books at Marvel to being just another teenage superhero book. I mean, I could go over a few plot points in this and how it feels really generic. But honestly, there's just not anything else to say but that. It's just this is not the book I liked, and you know I was expecting that because it's not G.O.L. Wilson anymore. But I was at least hoping for something that was interesting in a new way, and didn't get that. So not going to be keeping up with Miss Marvel for at least a year now.
That's disappointing. Yeah, he's I've heard mixed things. You didn't like Miles Morales, but Manos really did. The book that he's writing.
Most people seem to like Miles Morales. I thought it was... I had the same thing I had with this, where it's like, it's okay, but it's not good enough to read weekly.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of mixed stuff with this guy, because he did Exiles, which was just awful.
Mm-hmm. I called him everyone's favorite writer.
Yeah. So I don't know. He seems to be really just not working for either of us, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I just off of Exiles, I just had very little interest in picking up anything else I saw by him. Oh well.
He seems to be a real jobber for Marvel at the moment.
McPick says his Black Bolt series was amazing.
Okay.
Take your word for it. Okay, let's go ahead and go on and do best cover. Mine is Zorro Legendary Adventures what is this? Number 4. Is Zorro fighting a pirate? And that's a thing we...
Okay, yeah, I would pick that.
Yeah, we can't really do that with Zorro, or we do that with Zorro a little bit often, and it's just cool to see it. Points for being a cover that has nothing to do with what happens in the issue. That was good fun. For those that don't remember, Zorro Legendary Adventures reprints some 70s Zorro comics that were published in a Disney French Disney comic series. And this is the first time they've ever been translated to English. So there's no Zorro fights pirates thing, which is, again, it's a thing we've done with Zorro, so that's fine. There is something that I've wanted to see done with Zorro, and we never would have been able to do it on the Guy Williams show, so it's kind of cool to see it here in comic book form. He fights a bull.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to do for Zorro, and because Zorro's got like the shiny knight kind of quality to him, he doesn't kill the bull. He stays in the ring until the bull tires of him. And that's just really cool. It's very Zorro-esque to me. There are a couple other stories in this one, but yeah, I like the cover because it's Zorro versus pirates, and I was excited to see Zorro fight a bull. So that was cool.
Okay.
Yep. Alrighty.
For best cover, I'm going to go with Meet the Scrolls #1. I just really like this image. I think it's very striking. It's exactly the kind of thing you should be doing with scrolls, and it's very indicative of what the content of the book is, where like each member of the family to a varying degree is into the fact that they're a scroll and they're trying to infiltrate human society, and then you have the youngest daughter who feels really bad about all of it and is terrible at like trying to gain people's trust, and everybody is constantly telling her, no, you have to do this. No, this is how humans work. That you tell them this, and they'll trust you more. And she's like, but isn't that dishonest? And they're like, yeah, that's the point. So yeah, this book is really good. I really dug the cover. Yeah, nice little thing.
Cool. All right, best of the month now. Can't believe I'm doing this, but yeah. I really liked Ghost Rider Destroys Marvel History #1. It was super fun. Again, smiling ear to ear. So, yep, that's my best of the month.
Fair enough. Mine is going to be Spider-Man Life Story #1. Again, this just knocked my socks off. This felt like, again, the kind of Spider-Man I grew up with, and the kind of Spider-Man I want to be reading. And considering how much this book is supposed to change, I'm really interested to see where it goes from here.
Nice. Alrighty. So that does it for the roundup section, and Vac's going to take over and do comic reviews. I'm going to restructure my windows.
Review stuff?
Comic news. How do I do this? There we go. Okay. So I'm going to reduce my window a bit. And I'm going to inflate your window a bunch. That's the best I can do, it looks like. Okay.
Nope. All right, so we're starting off with Marvel this month, where an artist for a series that was meant to be a follow-up to Tom King's Vision has shared some concept work they did for it, which is basically just a really cool family tree that Vision was supposed to be presenting at school in the series. And shows, yes, that project was real. They just canceled it for whatever reason.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. And like it was kind of like a big shakeup, from what I remember. Like it was Marvel kind of punking out again. They've been known to do that lately. Yeah, if I'm remembering the details correctly.
But things happen, but it's a cool little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff to see, and we both love that comic, so I figured it'd be worth showing.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a neat look.
All right. Moving on, the Amazing Spider-Man newspaper comic strip is basically getting canceled, and this is one of the longest-running comics out there. It started... It says somewhere in this article when it started. It was 40 years ago.
Wow.
And the comic is very swiftly coming to an end, basically because the publication they do for it is being restructured, and also because they never took Stan Lee's name off of it, and that man's is dead now. So yeah. They're kind of having to cancel it, and they're saying they want to do a relaunch, but it's up in the air whether or not that will actually happen. It launched in '77. That's when.
I wonder if they'll collect that anywhere.
I hope they do. DC's been really good about that lately, where they've been putting out the Batman newspaper strips. But yeah, I didn't even know this was still a thing, so I thought it was really interesting to hear that it was ending just now. Not much else to say, just one of those interesting little footnotes in history.
Yeah.
Moving on to actual stuff we might care about, Donny Cates is getting a Silver Surfer book.
I can't wait till he meets Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yes.
You gotta do it.
It is Silver Surfer Black #1 is what it's solicited as, and it's going to pick up directly after the events of his Guardians of the Galaxy #1.
Well, that would make a lot of sense, because at the end of issue 1 of Guardians of the Galaxy, a bunch of the people that were at the reading of Thanos' will were sucked into a black hole, including the Silver Surfer. So there you go. I guess that's where the premise is starting for the series. I guess Donny Cates is just taking over Cosmic Marvel.
Well, from what I hear, he's not half bad at it, so okay.
Yeah.
And, like, this Terran Moore artwork looks just absolutely stunning. I cannot wait to see what some of the interiors look like.
Yeah, it's a really cool cover. Ooh, that's
no description in the solicitation, but yeah, really cool news. I'm definitely going to check it out, at least give the first issue a try, and I'm willing to bet you are too.
Oh yeah, I'll give it a shot. I don't know if there's no way it can be as good as the Slott Allred book, but it could be fun.
Yeah. And next up, moving to something I'm pretty sure you won't care about, but I'm kind of interested. Jonathan Hickman is taking over X-Men. This was announced at C2E2 a couple weeks ago, where he will be writing House of X and Powers of X, the next chapters in X-Men. Yeah, I'm pretty interested in this because Hickman is one of Marvel's biggest names from recent history, so I don't know, this might be a good jumping on point for me with X-Men. I'm gonna give it a shot.
I don't know if there's such a thing as a good jumping on point for X-Men.
That's true.
I was recording Geeky Gentleman the other night, and just ragging on X-Men with Ruben was probably one of the funnest things you could do.
I can't wait to hear that.
It was off recording, but he had one of the best lines I've ever heard, which is, "I own some X-Men comics I'm not proud of."
I think we all have that. Like, I own a lot of Supergirl I'm not proud of.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, it was just so good. But, I don't know. I'm tempted, but I don't know. It's X-Men. It's the most intimidating comic book series ever, in my opinion.
How about this? Because I'm definitely going to at least give the first issues a shot. If I say it's a good jumping on point, would you be interested in trying it?
I'll give you that. If you tell me that X-Men or House of X or Powers of X #1 is a really good jumping on point that you don't need to know much about, I'll give it a shot.
All right. Well, either we're going to get that or my review will be incoherent screaming. Can't wait to find out. Moving on, Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross are working on a new Marvel's one-shot in celebration of the 25th anniversary of the book.
Wow.
How do you feel about this, Ian? Because I feel like people are either going to love the idea or be really upset.
It's like... It's not quite, but it's almost like if Dave Gibbons and Alan Moore said they were coming out with a Watchmen #13 or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, if they've got a story to tell, fine, go for it. I mean, it's not like they killed the main character at the end or anything. His story can still go on. He was an older man. He was he retired at the end of the series. You can do it. It's not like they closed the door on it. And it's Alex Ross. I mean, what more can you ask for?
I think the thing that makes me hopeful for this is the fact that they got Ross back, because they didn't for Eye of the Camera, and I've never read Eye of the Camera because of that.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Eye of the Camera is a sequel that I'm told is about the girl who gets given the mantle at the end of the original book, but I honestly don't know anything about it other than that.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. It's different. Was it written by Busick?
I think it was.
Okay, I don't know, maybe. It's one of those things where
disclaimer, I may be mixing it up. It may be that they got Ross back and not Busick.
Yeah, I don't know. I have very little interest in anything like that's. It's just such a footprint that it's weird not to bring the team back for it, because as good as Marvel's is, you take either of those elements away. If it's just a pretty poster book for Alex Ross, it's not the same, and if it's just this emotional story by Busiek without the spectacular imagery by Ross, it's not the same. Yeah. So the fact that you've got them both coming back for it does give it a certain level of okay, let's do this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a look. I'm cautiously excited about this because Marvel's is one of my favorite comics. Actually, I don't think I've ever said it on this show. My two favorite comics is a tie between the New Frontier and Marvel's. Yeah, so I'm gonna check this out. I hope it will be good, but there's really no way to know until we crack it open.
Yep. Alrighty.
So fingers crossed. Moving on, Mark Waid is writing this year's big Marvel anniversary thing, one of many, which is going to be a recap of the history of the Marvel Universe. It will be a 6-issue mini. The art's going to be by Javier Rodriguez, sorry. And that is basically all we know. We've got some sort of leaks of what it's going to look like. And I don't know what to make of this. I like Mark Waid, but I don't know if we need another Marvel history recap book, especially because these tend to focus a whole lot on like the first 10 or 20 years and then go, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and now here's the present day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. This is a really wait and see it kind of thing. I'm hoping it will be interesting because, like I said, Marvel's is one of my favorite books, and that's a Marvel history recap book. So, who knows?
Yeah. We'll see.
Marvel is a real mixed bag for news this month.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's not a vague Marvel teaser.
Yeah. We almost had one of those, but then, less than a week ago, they revealed what they were teasing, which was the Hickman stuff.
Damn it. I got so excited.
Yeah. Alright, moving on to DC. Green Lantern relaunch.
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow. I am not the best word person. Green Arrow is going to be getting a relaunch reset because it was recently announced that the 50th issue of the Rebirth book would be the final issue, and a lot of people were going, what's going on? There's some hints that this is going to tie into Heroes in Crisis. Are we killing off Ollie again? And Dan DiDio basically came out and said, no, we're just giving the character a little rest and a bit of a rework. You got to do that every once in a while if you want to have the book stay fresh and interesting and good. And I never thought I would hear a Big Two executive say that again. That is really mature and smart of them to do, and I'm saying that about Dan frickin' DiDio. So it's pretty good news.
Okay, then.
We don't have any details about who is going to be writing or drawing the next book, but we basically know it's in the works now, which is good to hear. And that little interview DiDio gave about it was just a wonderful thing to see.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just still not going to read it because I don't care about Green Arrow. Just one of those things. It's one of those characters.
It's funny. You're a really big Green Lantern guy, and I'm a really big Green Arrow guy.
Oh, yeah? Maybe we should have you on Geeky Gentleman. We can do a review of the first trade of the Green Lantern, Green Arrow series or something. That'd be fun.
I have the trade that collects all of it in one go.
Oh, man. How thick is that boy?
It's not too bad.
I'll have to see if I can hunt that down then.
Alright. Moving on, Tom King teases Catwoman and a huge event in Essential Batman number 75. Basically, somebody asked him what the heck is going on with Selina. Can we get some hints on number 75? And he says it's drawn by Tony Daniel. It's oversized. It kicks off a huge event. It's an essential part of the culmination of DCU stories. It's the payoff to the final infamous page in Batman 50. As for Selina, ... yeah, it's a big one.
Cool.
So, more of Tom King being Tom King and basically dishing out details for his book left and right in a very fun way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's like it. Can I say that was the weird thing about Detective 1000's story is that Selina was there?
Yeah, I was like, that's got to take place pre-number 50.
Oh, maybe, or maybe post 75. Who knows? It was an interesting one. That's all I had. It was an interesting one.
What if 50 was just a massive troll and they do actually get married in 75, but DC's not gonna advertise it at all?
I don't think DC would let him get away with it. Like, that's the thing, like, everyone was so mad about 50, and it wasn't King that did it, it was DC marketing it so heavy that did it, you know?
Yeah. Because DC marketing doesn't know how to market Tom King books.
I know! And, you know, it's just, well, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, well, moving on, Shazam is about to get a new family member.
Oh, fucking Christ, really?
Yeah. Thanks to the solicit for number 7, we know that the Magic Lands arc will wrap up relatively soon with a new member being introduced into the family, and it's a mysterious person that we don't know much about. They will be revealed. I'm going to put down money right now and say it's going to be Black Adam coming on as a temporary ally, because in the latest issue, it ends with Black Adam showing up and going, these idiots opened up the Magic Lands. I'm going to have to go and save their asses.
Okay, then. That's cool.
It could also be Billy's dad, his real birth dad, because he's been like in the background of the book for a little bit now. But I highly doubt they'll be doing that, because the whole thing with Shazam is it's kids turning into adults. So
yeah,
wouldn't be much of a point in bringing on Billy's dad as a hero.
Mick Pick says Tiger Tawny is going to be back, and given that it's Jeff Johns, he does have a tendency to put his toys back in the box, you know?
That could be a thing, and you know, the Tiger without the powers was in his original Shazam backup in the Justice League book.
Mm.
So you know what, McPick, you might be right there. You might be right.
Alrighty.
Moving on, we've got more information about an upcoming issue of Green Lantern, which will homage Green Lantern Green Arrow. It's going to be a callback to Snowbirds Don't Fly, called Space Junkies. And it will be Hal grabbing Ollie to go help him take down a intergalactic drug smuggling ring. Grant Morrison, nice. You madman.
I bet it's based on real-life experiences Grant Morrison had when the Space Police came and raided his intergalactic drug smuggling business.
Oh, no doubt. That's obviously what it's going to be.
I just wish writers wouldn't do so much self-insert into their stories, you know?
Oh, well, you know, it's easiest to write what you know. We all know Grant Morrison is a being made of pure hyper-time who is only visiting us mortals for a short period.
Well, you know that Grant Morrison's bodily fluids are all extremely potent drugs and hallucinogenics.
Yeah, and hey, did you know that he's a wizard who can control ejaculation?
Yep.
Grant Morrison is the most amazing person who ever lived. I don't care what anyone says.
Grant Morrison's a living meme.
He is. All right, let's move on from Grant Morrison jokes and go on to Bendis jokes, because DC has delivered a first look at their big Superman event, which is titled Event Leviathan. I thought it was just Leviathan, but apparently it's Event Leviathan, and not like Event subtitle Leviathan. That is the actual proper name. So
yeah,
don't know what they're going for there.
I apparently owe you maybe an apology, because I was dead sure that Leviathan was just, a generic name for evil organization Bendis was using, but then in the latest issue of Superman, they're like, Talia al Ghul's organization? I'm like, oh shit, he actually knows?
You don't need to apologize, but I read that and I was just kind of like,
And I just saw down there it said Ra's al Ghul somewhere in the article there. So
yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. But obviously, this is going to be the new evil head of Leviathan, who basically looks like Doctor Doom but in red. But you can see a bunch of DC villains and characters being teased in silhouette back here on this alternate cover. And the description for the first issue goes, the groundbreaking and always inventive team writer of Brian Michael Bendis and artist Alex Maleev reunite on a mystery thriller that stretches across the DC universes and touches every character from Batman to Superman to the Question to Talia al Ghul. With startling ease, a newly dangerous and aggressive Leviathan wipes out all its competition and now turns its sights to molding the world into its vision of order. Can the new threat growth be stopped? And who's guiding its new agents of chaos? So yeah, this is pretty much directly connected to Talia al Ghul's Leviathan.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to say. Me! I would have guessed.
I'm the genius!
I'm the comic book boy! I'm the one who wins!
Yes. But I'll give this a look. DC events haven't really been able to pull me in for a very long time, or events in general, really. But fingers crossed for this. Hopefully it'll be good. It is by Bendis. The Superman stuff wasn't him setting up for another writer, so hopefully this will still be as good as the Action Comics stuff has been.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Is that Renee Montoya? No, that's just the Vic Sage question back there.
Yeah, I think Vic Sage question came back with Rebirth, and Renee Montoya is doing other stuff.
Yeah, because he was in Action. So.
All right. Moving on to some news I really just put here for you. DC debuts first Asian American Green Lantern in new graphic novel. Basically, you know that DC kids stuff they've been doing? They're doing a Green Lantern one called Green Lantern Legacy, where it's going to be a 13-year-old kid named Tai Pom, who will find out that his grandmother's jade ring is actually a Green Lantern ring, and it's going to be him joining the Corps and basically learning about its history. Kind of a introductory thing for kids to learn about Green Lantern.
Yeah, I just bought the Super Sons book that's getting mercilessly mocked by people, and this one has been on my radar for a bit longer actually, because I've seen the artists releasing some of their designs for Tai. And it looks pretty cool. Yeah. It looks pretty neat. I really like the, I don't know what you call that, sash or whatever that they've done with the costume here. I think that's a neat idea. I don't know. I'm interested in it. It looks exciting. Getting another human lantern, just goddamn it, we must just be the best ring slingers in the universe, from what I can tell.
But Earth is the most fucked up place in the universe, and we literally need 100 Green Lanterns to keep us in check. Which,
Yeah. I was really disappointed that they gave Kyle his Green Lantern ring back and didn't just let him go off and be a White Lantern, because that worked so much better, and it cleaned up the Green Lantern Corps from having too many Earth Lanterns.
Yeah, Kyle's one of those characters where I really need to just go back and read everything with him, because he seems really cool and interesting to me, and I've always liked his design, but I know shit all about him.
Yeah, I would really recommend the Green Lantern New Guardians book from the New 52. It was just one of those books where I was the only one reading it, even though it was genius.
You told me New Guardians is really good. I've heard good things about the early part of his original book, and I know about the refrigerator thing, but that's about it.
Yeah. Anyway, this is something I'm interested in. I'll probably end up picking that up. Between that and Super Sons, I'd be pretty happy. I don't know if Super Sons is going to be good or shit. I'm a little worried that instead of Damien, he's going by Ian, even though I'm also a bit flattered.
I do want to check out a good handful of the ones they've revealed for that line. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that looks interesting to me. It's not high priority.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they're cheap. The Super Sons book was like $10. So.
Oh shit, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Although I should warn you, they're not standard comic book size. They are more like your basic paperback
I saw the Super
novel.
Sons one in my store this week.
Oh, okay.
But moving on to Ian, DC is just trolling you at this point because Scott Snyder has teased that Superboy will be in Justice League, and guess what?
He's young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want young Superboy, you gotta go to Justice League. You gotta go to Scott Snyder. I saw this and I was just like, okay, they watch the show. They are just screwing with Ian at this point.
I mean, the more I'm seeing of this, it seems that Bendis is the only one running with John Kent as not a kid. Because we still got Adventures of the Super Sons. We've still got Justice League here. Everything else with John Kent that has appeared, he's still like 10 years old. And so I'm really just at this point hoping that
I'm putting down $20. This is gonna end in time travel fuckery. We get young John back.
I'm really hoping so. I really, really want that to be the case. I mean, like, it looks like he got older when he was spending time in the other universe with the crime syndicate. So I'm like, maybe wormhole time travel fuckery. He got split into 2 different dimensions. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
This art looks really good, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's Jimenez. He's the one that did the original run on Superboys. It's great stuff.
It's just Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder was at my local Comic-Con earlier this month. He was there with Greg Capullo, and they were making a big deal out of, we got both the guys from that big Batman run everybody but Ian likes. It's so close to going up and for getting them to record a message for you.
Oh, don't do that. I don't need to keep beef with Scott Snyder. He's happy. He's doing his thing. I don't have to be. If I don't enjoy it, that's okay. If other people are really into it, fair enough. It's all right.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, it would be hilarious, but there's no reason to make this an actual thing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's whatevs.
All right. Moving on to some indie stuff. Todd McFarlane has shown off his first Spawn cover, which is from the 70s, because Spawn is nearing its 300th issue. Oh boy, the book's actually going to be good for 2 issues.
Wait, I'm sorry, it's from the 70s?
Yeah, Todd McFarlane created Spawn when he was a kid in the 70s, and this is the original design.
Oh, I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Says he actually drew this cover in 1997. Yes,
or
I know
77.
That was a long time ago. Sorry?
77. You said 97.
I can't speak today. For a 35-page comic book, my dad, who was in the printing business, helped me put together. It still forced me to see how much Spawn has evolved over the years. Yeah,
Man.
Yeah, your endless revisions. I guess you could call that evolution.
Wow. That's kind of cool. I never realized that he made Spawn that early on. That's funny.
Yeah, I've seen all of Spawn Year twice, so I know about it as much about Spawn as Cap does, and it's not comfortable having that much knowledge about Spawn. Especially because I've never read a single Spawn comic. I just know it all through osmosis because of Logan.
Yeah. Oh, Spawn. No, thank you.
It is a thing. What another thing is Viz Media, who are launching a new a new imprint for original English language graphic novels. Viz Originals is a thing that they have planned for next year. They are still working out the lineup and everything, but they just announced this, and I think that's really interesting because Viz is basically the biggest manga translation company in the West, I guess is how you would classify them. So to hear they're going to be getting into actually producing some Western comics and original material is really interesting to hear. And they say in this interview, or in the panel where they announced it, that they want to hear from various artists. They're taking submissions. We've got things in the work now, but we're not ready to announce anything. We're trying to take our time. We want this to be done right, not fast, which kudos to them. I think that's really smart and good to hear.
Oh, cool. That's exciting.
Who knows if I'll actually check out anything from this, but I thought it was just an interesting kind of blip in the industry to hear about.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
All right, moving on to our final story for the month. IDW for sale. JP Morgan has been hired to review the company and maximize stockholder value. Hasbro's buying out IDW outright. I'm just saying it right now. That's obviously what's going to happen, because this is what happened when Hasbro bought Power Rangers and pretty much everything else from Saban. They went and restructured a lot of stuff, cleaned it up, filed shit tons of copyright strikes on YouTube to make it look like they were taking better care of the brand, which is why half of my Power Rangers Megaforce series isn't viewable right now. I'm working on getting it back up. But yeah, basically IDW is doing the same thing right now, and I would not be surprised if in a month or two we hear that Hasbro has made an offer.
Okay. That's interesting. IDW's, they're mostly just known for the existing IP stuff, right? They don't have a ton of original
things at any given time, but everybody knows them for Transformers and G.I. Joe and My Little Pony and oh, wait, there's Hasbro. They own half the stocks.
Okay. Then, yeah, that would probably make a lot of sense. Interesting. Well, I do have one story that I should have run by you, but I just thought of it now for whatever reason, so I'm going to take the screen back over. Ha ha ha! Okay. I am giant. And that is DC Universe, the streaming app. They announced at WonderCon just like a day or two ago that over 20,000 of their digital comics are going to be available on the app in the near future.
Wow.
And also, for anyone that's maybe interested in the app because of that, between now and April the 4th, you can get your first month for 80 cents.
Ooh, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and that doesn't just mean for yearly subscribers or anything. That's if you just want to try it out for a month. You should go look into that, folks.
I might do that because I've been wanting to check out Doom Patrol. And I should probably... I'm behind on Young Justice, but I should probably watch the rest of it legally.
For shame.
Who knows? I might go ahead and give that a look if it is that cheap.
Doom Patrol is absolutely fantastic. It has just a star-studded cast. It's got Timothy Dalton, Brendan Fraser, and Matt Boomer.
I'm so happy that Brendan Fraser's getting good work again.
Yeah, it's so crazy. He's so good as Robot Man. It's fun. He's just doing the voice for most of it, but like he's had a couple physical appearances here and there.
Also, somebody showed me a screen cap from the first episode where somebody breaks the fourth wall and says they're talking to Grant Morrison fans.
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, who do you think you're talking to? Oh, Grant Morrison fans, DC Universe subscribers, the one or two people who stood around after the donkey fart. It's pretty good. Yeah, the first episode's crazy. It's definitely worth watching at least the first episode, I'll say that much. So DC Universe app, huge expansion in their online content. I'm really hoping that means I'll be able to find some story arcs that I've never been able to like physically buy and only been able to pirate. Wonder Woman, Gods of Gotham. Fingers crossed that gets.
I've never heard of that.
It was just like a 4 or 5 issue story in the middle of the main Wonder Woman book, but like some of the Greek gods possessed Gotham supervillains, and so you get some crazy ass art in there, including the Joker with Medusa hair.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah. So shit like that. Legends of the Dark Knight, riddle me that story arc. I would love to see that on there because that's a story that.
I need to ask my store to order that in issues for me because you always talk about how great it is, but I always either forget or I don't have the money to pony up for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Good luck. It's good. Best Riddler story of all time. Thank you. Good night. Alrighty. Well, Vac, thanks for doing this with me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, glad to be back, folks. Geeky Gentleman will be kicking in gear throughout the week as well. So, see ya in future installments. Until then, bye!